Hey everybody, today we are here to talk about probably one of the more confusing things about bassoon playing, half-holing. The first thing that we really want to make sure everybody understands is that half-holing doesn't always mean use half of the whole. For G it does, but sometimes that's also just kind of difficult to feel out because right now, I mean, you can see what my finger's doing, but I can't. And so probably one of the easiest ways to figure out exactly where that half hole sits is to play the low G and then just slide your finger down until we hear what the upper octave is, because what it should sound like is this. But what a lot of people get at first is some sort of weird Wookiee type growl or whatever else. And so again, we want to start with just the low G and just peel back to see what happens. And if you have a relaxed embouchure and you're playing correctly, you should be able to get the low G to sound. We want to do that a couple of times just to feel exactly where that half hole is to develop that muscle memory. And then we can release our fingers from the instrument, put them back and find that half hole where it is each time. Again, this will take a while to get comfortable with. It's not going to happen for you in a day. And then when you can get that G to speak just right off the bat at the half hole, then the next step would be to go to it from other notes, like just even F to G. Starting slowly in articulated half notes, then quarter notes, then eighth notes, and then you can even do like a walk down exercise to go from each note to G, like F to G, E flat to G, like this, and so on and so forth down. Just to build that fluidity in getting to that note so that that G half hole isn't quite so scary. Now, we talked about at the beginning, a couple minutes ago, that the half hole isn't a half hole for every note. So there are two other technical notes that you play with the half hole, and that would be G sharp or also A flat if you go by the enharmonic. And remember, there's two different ways to finger that. So you still have your whisper key down and all of your fingers for G, but then we can add either this pinky key right here or this thumb key right there. I prefer to use the pinky key for it because that's the one that's more comfortable for me, but you need to know both just in case you're having to go from G flat to A flat or B flat to A flat or B flat to G flat to A flat. That way we can be fluid in moving around the instrument and not get ourselves into a bind. And so again, A flat, we talked about the rest of the fingering for it, but again, it's not a half hole, it's a 1/4 open hole. And so instead of going halfway down to open the half hole like G, you're going to go 1/4 down to open. And again, that's really easy to see from a camera angle in the bassoon, but we want to feel it out just like we did with that G. So start playing the low A flat, and then just kind of sliding back till it pops out. And you'll feel that it's a little bit of a 1/4 open hole, and it's significantly less than the G. You'll hear some weird sounds with it if you have the wrong amount of hole opened up. And you'll get kind of a weird, again, a Wookiee sound for lack of a better term before it. And then once you get that note comfortably to speak from the octave jumps, and you can kind of get the muscle memory where that's at, then give it a shot without the octave jump and see if you can't pick it off. And just to feel where that muscle memory is. And again, it's not going to be a day's exercise or an hour's exercise. It's going to take you a couple of days, and it will be a little bit frustrating. But again, just like everything else in music, it's okay. It's okay if you're frustrated. Just relax, take a deep breath, and move past it as best as you can. And sometimes that means just setting it aside for a little bit and then coming back to it or coming back to it the next day. Now, the other note that's, again, a half hole, according to all of your fingering charts and method books, would be G flat, which is also known as F sharp. That's again with the same fingering, your whisper key, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, with the half hole for the first finger that we'll talk about in a second. And then there's two different pinky keys to use. There's this key right here, or this key right here on the back. I prefer to use the thumb key at the back because that's more comfortable for me. But again, just like that A flat, you have to know both fingerings, because if I'm going from B flat to G flat, I can't use my B flat key and then my G flat key if I have to connect them. We don't use the thumb twice in a row or a pinky twice in a row, so we have to be able to alternate from front to back. And so G flat, just like the others, isn't a half hole. It's actually a 3/4 open hole. So a lot of people, when they start playing G flat, get really frustrated because here's the sound that they get. And that's a multiphonic. It's both notes happening at the same time, and maybe a few other overtones in there, and it sounds like a Wookiee or a tortured goat or something else. And so just like the G and the A flat, we're going to jump from the octave. So we're going to start with the low version and bump up and see exactly how much hole is open for us to feel all of that. And you'll see that half hole just continues to open. So A flat's a 1/4 open, G to half hole, G flat's a 3/4 open. And you just have to feel where that is. And so that would be the adjustment that you're making in between. And again, this isn't a day process. It's going to take you a little while. And just like you did with the G with the walk down, you can do that same thing with all of those other notes. And a great exercise would actually be to practice going between your half hole notes, is to go from G flat to G to A flat and back and forth like this. And hopefully you notice my first finger moving through the 3/4 open to the half hole to the 1/4 open as I change between notes. And you want to do this very, very, very slowly, and then you can plug that into the rest of your chromatic scale, starting on F and going up to B flat and back down through the register. So again, be patient with it. It's not an instantaneous thing, just like learning the bassoon wasn't an instantaneous thing. It's going to take just a little bit of patience, but you can do it. So A flat's a 1/4 open, G is a true half hole, G flat is a 3/4 open, and each bassoon will be slightly different, so you've got to kind of feel it out for your bassoon, but using those octave jumps is a great way to do that. So in the meantime, hopefully we'll see you soon, but good luck and keep practicing.